Hey boys and girls, this is your homework read aloud for this week. Free at Last, A Kurdish Family in America by Karen O'Connor, 2004. Karen O'Connor has written for Highlights. In this memoir, that word sounds like memory. So maybe it's a writing about a memory? O'Connor describes meeting a Kurdish family who was forced to leave their home in Kurdistan, a region in the Middle East that spans multiple countries, but that is not a country of its own, and came to America. As you read, take notes on the challenge that the Ahmet family faced on their journey. Amina Ahmet squatted on the floor of her kitchen in El Cajun, California, mixing flour and water and yeast. That word has a one by it. That's a weird word. I'm going to go down here. One. A kind of fungus that makes bread rise. So it's an ingredient in bread. Into large balls. She pushed and pulled the bread dough, then flattened it into a pan for baking. As soon as the loaves were fresh from the oven, she handed one to me, then another and another, until I had a stack from my waist to my nose. Enough, enough, I said, laughing. This is more than my husband and I can eat in a month. No, 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 she scolded. Scolded is a weird word. Let's go down here. That has a two. Scold. To speak in a disapproving manner to someone. So to kind of get onto them. This bread, a present for you. I gave in and tucked the warm golden pita loaves into a bag to take home that evening. I have a connection there because one of my students made me pita bread last year and it was amazing. I love homemade pita. Some of you might have a homemade bread, maybe like a tortilla that you guys like. The memory of that day in 1994 is still clear in my mind. I can picture the Ahmet family gathered together in the small living room of their apartment. Amina and her husband Taha, along with their children, Kagmar, age 19, Ferhat, 16, Warvin, 9, Zindan, 5, and baby Susan, who was born in the United States. Some of you might have a connection here. I was born, and then you can fill in the blank. I was born in the United States, so I would fill in the blank with United States. I was a visitor, soon to be a friend. I had come to speak with the family about people who leave their homeland during a war and start over in a new country. These people are called refugees. I'm going to ask a question here. What war caused the family to leave their country? Why are they leaving their country? Taha and Amina had brought their children to America to get away from the bombs and the fighting in their homeland of Kurdistan during a war with Iraq. Kurdistan, a mountainous region in the Middle East, extends over parts of Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and the former Soviet Union. Because of the region's rich oil reserves, what's that? A supply of something. So they have a lot of supply of oil. Many countries have wanted to control it. Kurdistan's people have fought for many centuries to make the region their own country, but haven't been able to do so. I'm going to ask the question, why will other countries not leave Kurdistan alone? It sounds like maybe those countries are being greedy, wanting something that isn't theirs, but we'll see. The family had fled their small village of Benavia in 1988. We were eating breakfast one morning, said Ferhat. Then suddenly soldiers ran through the streets shouting and throwing gas bombs. Gas bombs are a bomb filled with harmful or poisonous gas. I'm going to put a star by that line because that seems like an important challenge, right? That's a challenge that the family faced. Taha gathered his family. They ran for safety with the only clothes they were wearing, a little food, a camera, a few blankets, and their horse. Their journey to freedom took them over mountains and along rivers. At night, they huddled under trees to keep warm. During the day, they walked with other villagers. Finally, they came to a refugee camp in Turkey. Some of you might have a connection. Some of you might have had to leave your home for a reason. I'm going to put a star by this line that talks about the only things that they were able to bring were very little things. There, they lived in a small town for 4 years, a small tent for 4 years. Farhat remembered freezing winters and hot summers. I'm going to put a star there because that's definitely something that's hard. They sometimes had to wait in long lines for water, even during snowstorms. Ooh, that sounds really hard. Life was hard, said Taha. We did not have enough food or medicine or warm clothes. Ooh, that sounds like another challenge. I'm going to put a star there. I missed my parents, said Amina with tears in her eyes. Again, another challenge. If you've ever missed your parents, that could be a connection, right? I know what it feels like to miss my family. Then, in 1992, they received good news. Amina's brother, who lived in San Diego, California, arranged for them to come to the United States. He promised to help them get settled. Today, Amina, Taha, and their children are thankful for a new place to call home. 9-year-old Warvin enjoyed telling me how happy he is. He said he likes seeing his mother smiling again and his father no longer wake up in the middle of the night afraid for his family. My cousins taught me to speak English, he said proudly, but I taught myself to ride a bike. Some of you might have a connection here. Maybe you've learned to speak English, or you know how to ride a bike. Amina and Taha's children learned American ways quickly, but Amina said she preferred to follow many of the customs. Ooh, what's a custom? Ooh, that's all the way down here. Behavior that is usual among people of a certain group, common for a group of people. So, like a tradition, a way of doing life. So she likes to do things the way that she learned them in Kurdistan. For dinner during my visit, she set a place of abraka on the mat of the living room floor. There was not enough room at the kitchen table for all of us. The mixture of rice, meat, and vegetables wrapped in grape leaves was delicious. Amina had picked the grape leaves herself. Next, she served a salad of chopped tomatoes, onions, lettuce, cucumber, pickles, and salt. And finally, she carried a platter of chicken, rice, and warm pita bread. I'm going to make a connection because one of my Iraqi students last year invited me to have dinner with him, and I've had this. And I love this chicken dish. Some of you might love when your mom makes you chicken, and that could be your connection. We gathered on the floor and shared the feast. After dinner, we talked more about life in Kurdistan as Taha pointed to photos of the country's leaders displayed on the wall. One of the children put on a video of a family wedding. Our meal ended with a traditional hot tea, sweetened with sugar and served in small glasses. A cookie called kade, made with sugar and walnuts, was part of the dessert. I'm going to ask a question here. What would this cookie taste like? That's a question I have. That sounds delicious. Then it was time to say goodbye. I picked up my bag of homemade bread, hugged everyone, and kissed baby Susan on the cheek. Before I left, Amina asked me to visit again. She whispered something to Farhat. A smile lit up his face. She said, "You are like our grandmother," he told me. "She misses my mother very much. Maybe the children can call you their American grandmother." I liked that. I would come again and again for 3 more years until the family moved to Tennessee, where Taha had found a new job. No matter how far away they are, the Ahmet family will always have a place in my heart. All right, let's look at our questions. Directions. For the following questions, choose the best answer or respond in complete sentences. 1. Part A. Which statement identifies the central idea of the text? A. Karen O'Connor didn't understand what a refugee was before she learned about the Ahmet family's experiences. B. The Ahmet family was surprised by how difficult it was to relocate to America and the less than friendly welcome they received when they arrived. I don't remember her talking about people being unfriendly, so I'm going to put a cross through that to help me remember that's probably not the right answer. C. Karen O'Connor developed a close friendship with the Ahmet family and learned about their challenging experiences as refugees. That seems like it could be a good answer. I'm going to put a check mark by it. D. While Karen O'Connor was hesitant to make friends with the Ahmet family, sharing a meal brought them together. Hesitant, so she was scared. Hesitated. I don't know if that's the right one. She didn't seem scared of them. So I'm going to choose between A and C. Those are my answers that I think are right. So when you are answering a question, see if you can cross out the ones you know are wrong, and then choose the one that you think is correct. Part B. Which passage from the text best supports the answer to part A? A. As soon as the loaves were fresh from the oven, she handed one to me, then another, and another, until I had a stack from my waist to my nose. Paragraph 1. B. Taha and Amina had brought their children to America to get away from the bombs and the fighting in their homeland of Kurdistan during a war with Iraq. Paragraph 7. C. Kurdistan's people have fought for many centuries to make the region their own country but haven't been able to do so. Paragraph 7. D. My cousins taught me to speak English, he said proudly, but I taught myself to ride a bike. Paragraph 14. 3. Which of the following describes the author's purpose in the text? A. To share the Ahmet family's experiences as refugees. B. To describe the traditional food of the Ahmet family prepared. C. To emphasize the poor conditions of refugee camps. D. To describe her experiences acting as the family's American grandmother. 4. Which of the following describes how the information is organized in the text? A. The author describes her desire to help the Ahmet family and then how she was able to help them stay in America. B. The author describes how the Ahmet family moved away and then details how they came to America to begin with and the friendships they developed. C. The author compares the Ahmet family's positive experiences coming to America with their negative experiences. D. The author describes what she knows about refugees before meeting the Ahmet family and then what she learned from them. 5. How does food contribute to the friendship between the narrator and the Ahmet family in the text? The narrator is the author here. So Karen O'Connor is telling the story. She's I. So what is the connection between food and friendship in the text? So our first job is to turn our question. So how does food contribute to the friendship between the narrator and the Ahmet family in the text? So let's cross out our question word and then circle our answer word. So let's see. Food seems to be what we're talking about here, and contribute would be our verb. So food, we have to put an S at the end of contributes. Food contributes to the friendship between the narrator and the Ahmet family by blank. And then what do you need after that? You're going to put evidence and explanation. If you need an evidence sentence starter, you can look at your binder. You have a cheat sheet of informational writing in your binder. Here's your central idea chart. Who is this text about? What are those people doing? When was this story written? What is it about? When did those things happen? Where do those things happen? Why do those things happen? The central idea is, and then fill it in. See if you can use all of this to make one sentence. Then go back, and anything that you didn't check off that's in your central idea becomes your key details. So use those to write a sentence about each of your key details. Okay?